services project. This one I developed like with our team on 2015. And I remember that we made it like many stages. So it was Emergency Medical Services Project 2015, and then we made it again Emergency Medical Services Project 2016, 2017. So the name was really good. So we could not bring a better name. So we were just changing the years. And then, for example, for two parts, we see accountability and learning. Like this. Like we have these 2 points, and then we say enhanced good governance in Lithuania. Sorry for this mistake. So we say accountability and learning, enhanced good governance in Lithuania. Some names, they are like this. They are phrased in 2 parts. I also put like the name of portal so that it's like maybe it's more clear to you. When you go to our website, you will find out that the name of the project is Portal 365. But then it is a grant writing and management system. This is like giving more clarification about what it is. So that's the idea. So the name, it needs a little bit like kind of creativity. But in general, just to give you another idea, is that usually the name of the project, when we put the name of the project from the beginning, we change it once we go through the project, because usually the good name is usually taken from the project objective. So once we reach the project objective level, we might get the project objective and do some changes, do some summarizing for the objective, and we make it the name of the project. You will find out once we go through the development of the proposal. The executive summary of the project. Usually, the executive summary of the project, although this part is in the front of the proposal, so usually I have the cover, and then I find that, like directly I will find the executive summary of the project. But usually it is drafted the last part of the project, so you don't need to write the executive summary this week of your proposal that you will develop. What you will need just to figure out what it means, and then at the end we come back to it, and then we try to have our project summary. But in general, the project summary is summarizing the problem in 1 sentence, and also we mentioned the project objectives like in a clear way, and we summarize our solution in terms of activities, outputs, and outcomes. And usually this part is a kind of like a short paragraph, not exceeding like half of E4, like page E4, half of it. And it would be like a kind of narrative. It would not be like bullet points. It should be a narrative done in 1 paragraph. As we mentioned, we will talk about it like at the end of the proposal writing. So it's like after 5 sessions. Background. The project background has many components. As we mentioned, it's different from donor to another. But usually when we see project background, we mean 3 components. We mean the situation analysis. We mean the needs assessment or problem analysis, and the grant request justification. As I highlighted before, the situation analysis is totally different from problem analysis, because problem analysis is part of the needs assessment. While the situation analysis is usually done at the level of the whole country, while the needs assessment and problem analysis is done for the targeted area or the targeted district. So usually it is very limited. And then the grant request justification. We need to justify to the donor, why are we requesting? Why are we applying? We should have a valid reason beyond our submission. We will talk about it later also. Before we have an assignment, I will talk about the situation analysis. So usually we start writing the proposal by having the situation analysis for the whole country, and we should put these points into consideration. Is that the situation analysis is usually the easiest part, so we don't need to spend a lot of time doing the situation analysis. And then it should be at the country level. So uh, as I mentioned, we don't go to the district level or the targeted area level. We talk general about the country. So we talk about the country, like for example, economic level. What is how people are doing in terms of economic? If there are like for example, we need to have content from reliable sources. So although we will do paraphrasing, we will write like depending on our knowledge, depending on our available information. But it would be really important to include reliable sources like Human Development Index or the periodic reports issued by UN bodies and international NGOs. So, for example, if there are reports from UNICEF, WHO, UNHCR, UN OCHA, other NGOs like Oxfam, Save the Children, CARE, even local NGOs, governmental agencies, and so on, we can use these resources or their resources as long as it used like it's a reliable like agency, or if the resource is a kind of research or a field assessment, that would be really good to use it. And then we need to outline things that affect people's lives in the whole country. So, for example, if the country is going through a natural disasters like droughts, like floods. Now we have the epidemics. For example, COVID-19 is a kind of natural. It could be also man-made, but we could consider it a natural disaster. So we should talk about it, about the general situation. And then if there is a man-made crisis or disaster like wars, armed conflicts, we need to talk about it. And also when we talk about these disasters, we need to start, like we talk about them and say that started, and we talk about when this disaster or when this emergency has started. Then we focus on the special challenges in the sector. For example, if the project is related to food, then the proposal need to talk about the food situation in the country. Like for example, we would talk about the impact of this disaster on the level of people's access to food and their purchase power, and if they get adequate and diverse food. If our project is in education, we will talk about how the disaster or emergency has affected education at the level of the country. The same for culture and heritage, the same for protection and all other sectors. Here at this level, before we go to the needs assessment, it would be really good if we could have an assignment, which is to activate your account in Portal 365 Patch 1 training and start adding a proposal like the name of the project and situation analysis. Of course, we will not do it now, but if you are online and you have a laptop, it would be really good to see your email. We have sent you an email yesterday to join this account. So it is a dedicated account. I could go with you through it very quickly. I will share it with you now. So as part of the training, so we could give you interesting feedback and to have like more improvement. You will need to register in this account. So you will find out that this account is related to the training. So it's the name is the Programs Managers Training Batch 1. So I hope every one of you is able to register and to activate the account and to create a password. Of course, we use the email that we already have. The same email we send you invitations and reminders regarding the training. We use the same email to send you the invitation. So for now, I could see like how many people already like we invited, and I will be happy to see you activating your account. So these are the participants, and we hope that to see most of you joining and activating their presence. So we could start, for example, as you find here, we already added 18 different programs we mentioned during the strategic session. So we have now 18 different programs. What you need when you start is to go directly to the proposal and start adding a proposal. So, for example, I would say support education in Lithuania. Let's say, just as an example, Lithuania. And then I would select like any donor, let's say UNICEF. Then I select the deadline. The deadline will be, let's say, on the 15th of August. The currency will be US dollar. Location will be Lithuania. Start date for the project, let's say 1st of September, and date, let's say that this project will continue for 1 year, so it will end on 31st of August next year. And then next, because it's education, I will select education, and then I will say that it's 100% education. Then I will do next. I will see that this will be open to everyone. If I need just only few people to see the project, I will see users in charge. So I would recommend that each of you will make your proposal available to everyone, or if you want to make it for users in charge only, that's fine. It's your decision. Then see. So when after I added this proposal, I will have the proposal ready. I will write the summary here, but at the end of the project, I could go to the background, and then this week you will need to fill out the situation analysis, the needs assessment, and the grant request justification. So today we will talk about these three parts. We will not talk about logical framework. It will be by next week. We will also talk about beneficiaries by the week after, and so on till the end of the proposal. When you write your parts, I will be able to comment here. So I will send you comments that if I have some comments for you to change, to improve, or to add anything, I will comment here and send to you directly whenever there is a need to comment. That's how the process will keep going. Also, if you think that you don't want to write a proposal alone, so you can add your friends who are participating with us in the proposal. So, for example, you can come here, and then you add users in charge. For example, I would add Omar with me. I would give him a permission like for everything to do with me. So whole permission. Also, for example, I would add Faris. I will give him all permission, and I will see, for example. So now we are already 3 people that who are able to write and develop the proposal together. All of us will be able to work on the same proposal, and will be able to see and access the proposal. So that's the way we are going to continue during this week's training. So I hope I clarified the process, and I will see if you have some comments at this level. I have a question here from Abdullah. How can I activate my portal account? So I just log in there, and that's it. Abdullah, yes, please, you could go to the email we have sent yesterday to you, and then you will find out the way to click on a link or a button there. and then you have your email, you have your password, and you could log in directly. Um, Another question was if the project not 100% education and there is a health part in the project, how can I explain it in the proposal? Yes, if the proposal is going to be two sectors, then you identify, you mention like for example 50% or 70% education, 3% health, and then the proposal will give you the opportunity when we like when you are doing the project, I mean the logical framework will be two parts. The logical framework will have two icons, one for education and one for health. uh, we have a few participants who are mentioning that okay, well then I have done that already. Okay, Abdullah. Okay, and I didn't receive your email. Okay, okay, my email. Okay, we will send it. We will send it. Omar will manage to send the email and make sure that it is already sent. If you didn't receive it, then we will request your account on Gmail or Yahoo, so we could make sure that you already receive it, because some domains, for example, nahdamakers.org, sometimes some domains has problems, so they don't receive the emails. How can I add a new donor to the portal list? Yes, for the portal list, if you want to add a new donor, you could go to. Of course, there will be an update, so the whole process will be changing. But in general, you could go to settings, and then you have donors here. You could add a new donor. You could add a new donor anytime. And you try to make sure that you have the authority to do it, because sometimes in your NGO account you don't have the authority to change it yourself, so you need to ask another person to do it, who has like another person who has the authority to go to settings and do some changes here. So that's these are like some. Okay, let's see if okay, okay, and so now we will. I think this is like a kind of a clarification that was needed at this level, and I will expect like by tomorrow that you will all activate your accounts and start adding proposal. At least add your proposal, and then in order to give me the authority to work with you, I will be happy if you could put me as one of your users in charge. So you come here and give me permission to be able to work, also to comment in your proposal. That's in general. I will go back to our slides if you don't have more questions. Some projects are corporate between two donors. Yes, there are projects that are funded by many donors. We can add, like in portal, you can add more than one sector. Also, you can add more than one donor, and this is reflected on the budget. So on the budget, you will find that the budget, you can identify like the items that belong to this donor and the items that are that belong to another donor. So in portal, you have the solution for many donors or many sectors. If you have more questions related, we will be able to answer them within the next few minutes. And also I will try to keep on our in our presentation. Yes, so just to make sure that we are coming back to our to the assignment at this level. At this level, we will move to the needs assessment. The needs assessment usually is very important. Usually the needs assessment is very important because it takes at least 30% of the evaluation of the proposal. So once you submit a proposal to a donor, they go to the needs assessment and they take time to make sure that you analyze the problem in the right way and that you drafted the needs assessment in a good way. And that you collected the information or that you collected a valid information that would be possible to solve. We will talk more about it. But in general, once you start to do the needs assessment and problem analysis, you will go through 5 different steps. So the most difficult part, I know that many of you will think that it's easy, but usually once we start to develop proposals, we suffer a lot. We take a lot of discussions, a lot of time just to select the target area. So for example, sometimes you have a two weeks duration to develop a proposal. Sometimes we take more than 10 days out of the 14 days just to decide the target area and to collect the information regarding the problem that we are submitting the solution for. So selecting the targeted areas is really important and very important step. And so to select the target area, the more you have a strategy and target locations that you already want to work on, the more it's easy for you to decide your targeted area. And so we have selecting the targeted area and identify the main problem. Then we analyze the problem using the problems tree. Number 4 is to collect information and data about the problem, and then we formulate the needs assessment paragraph. So these 5 steps are really important during developing the proposal and the needs assessment part. We will go deep into each step of these 5 steps. So for example, selecting the target areas. Usually, like for example, donors are mentioning. So usually donors are mentioning that we are targeting the following countries. So they give you the opportunity to decide which country to apply on if you are an international NGO. But if you are already working in a single country, in one country, then you will need to decide in which part of the country you need to apply. And then also, if you don't have a strategy, you will need to think a lot about it, because as I mentioned, the strategy make you proactive. It will make you ready to decide very quickly. If you don't have a strategy, you will keep thinking, where should I apply? But let's say, for example, here this is a map of Lithuania. In Lithuania, this is a country, and then Lithuania has many counties. For example, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So it's like 10 counties, and on each county there are municipalities, and then on each municipalities there are districts. So what you need to do is that it depends on the budget you will request, depends on the scale or how big your budget and how big your NGO and the intervention you are planning to do. So in general, if you are requesting a budget that is less than $20,000 or like more or so, it's better for you to decide, like for example, to work on one city, for example here in Vilnius, or you go to Klaipėda or Kaunas. So just select like one city or one district or one municipality, so that you become very smart in like the way you move during implementing the project. That's one thing. So you need to decide to be precise and to limit your project to certain areas, not the whole country. This is the first recommendation. Don't do a project that is targeting the whole country. So make it like in one part or in one city or in one district. Let's say if you want more than 2 districts, 3 districts, 4 districts, and that's more than enough. And it would be really great if you selected the areas based on your program strategy. And so like the more you work on your target areas, the more it's easy for you to coordinate with the active people on these target areas, because you have been working in the same areas and people already know you. The decision makers, the local authorities, the community leaders already know a lot about you, so it would be really easy to implement on these target areas. So in the beginning, we select the target area. After that, we decide, we start to identify the main problem. Because, sometimes some donors, when they have a call for proposal, they give you more than one purpose or more than one objective. So, for example, the European Commission would have a call for proposal, and then they say that, okay, you can apply on education, on water, sanitation, hygiene, or on protection. So sometimes they give you more than one sector to apply. So what you need is to decide also the sector. For example, you would say that, okay, I will apply for protection, or I will apply for education, or I will apply for water, sanitation, and hygiene. After you decide the sector, then you decide, now you start to identify the main problem related to that sector. For example, if it's education, then it will be the difficulty to access, or the inequality in the access to education between boys and girls. That's, for example, this is the problem. And then you identify the people affected by the problem and the involved groups or factors that are controlling, or that have a power control on the affected people. So, for example, the affected people in education usually are children, like boys and girls at the school age. For example, boys and girls from 6 years or from 3 years till 18 years. So at this age group, usually these children are controlled by different parties or by different groups. So, for example, they would be controlled by their families and communities. They are controlled by the teachers and the schools. They are controlled by the education system. So when we see controlled, it means that we say that these 3 groups have direct effect on these people. So if they are good, these will be improved. If the situation here is good, they will improve. If the 3 groups and factors are good, the affected people will improve. If they have problems, then this affected people will be affected even more, and their rights to education will be more neglected and violated. So this is really important to decide, like, who are most affected by the problem, and who are the groups that have direct effect and direct control on the affected people. So we identify the 3 main responsible groups and factors that contribute to the problems. As we mentioned in education, for example, we will find out that the affected people are, or we consider them the beneficiaries, are the children, boys and girls at school age, while the first group that has control over them is their families, and then the community they are living in. We consider them as a target group. Then the next level will be the service providers. For example, in education, they will be teachers, like school management, and anyone like related to schooling. So service providers are teachers, women and men teachers, the target group 2, and also they have direct effect and direct control over children, because if they are good, if their teaching methodologies is good, if they can be like, if they can provide good teaching, then the children will keep going to school smiling. If they are like using old methodology, if they are doing a lot of punishment as in old schooling as we used to before, then many students will leave the school. They will drop out. They will not come back to school. So we have families, teachers, and then service facilities. We consider it as a target group 3 or a factor. It would be a factor. For example, it would schools is a group and factor that if the school is nice, if it has interactive environment, if it has like a safe learning and interactive learning for children, if the environment is friendly, child-friendly environment, then the children will love go to school. If the school is not prepared, if it's destroyed by war, if sometimes it's not available, sometimes children are studying under the trees or under the sun and like in a very bad condition, then this is a kind of a direct effect and control over the children. Then we consider the authorities, the policies and systems and technologies are like as one other level that is also controlling the process of schooling. So we need to decide at least, like I would recommend, for example, a 3-level, and this is more than enough. But to give you an idea, what is the difference between a humanitarian project and a development project? Usually, the humanitarian project is focusing on the affected people, and then they focus more on the affected people and their family. And the more you go like to the other levels, the more you become development project. So, for example, if you are implementing an education project that is also has workshops discussing the education law and policy, you are talking to the Ministry of Education, improving the education system and the technologies used in schools and technologies related to education process in general, then this is development. If you are also working on the schools, improving the schools with the rehabilitation, bringing equipment, furniture, tools, then this is development. Also, if you are training the teachers, training them on interactive learning methodologies, on modern learning or whatever, if you are giving teachers tools and things, then this is development. But if you are just doing some awareness and giving students, for example, school bags or some let's say sponsorships, like some money, so or you give them school bags and then you leave, this is a humanitarian kind of intervention. So we already we identify the problem in terms of who are the affected people, who are the target groups and factors that have direct control over them, and that's the second step. Then we start to analyze the problem using our problems tree. The good thing is that our problems tree become very well known. If you go to Google, if you type problems tree and then go to image, if you search on images, you will find our problems tree, the same tree here. You will find it on Google. So in general, problems tree is usually difficult because it's presented on different shapes, on different classifications, which is making it like weak, not easy to understand. So we spend we have spent more than 1 year trying to figure out how the problems tree should be so that it would be clear for anyone trying to do the analysis. So usually the problems tree, we call it problems because it has many problems. It discusses many problems linked to the main problem. So we have the main problem here, for example, in access to education, in access of boys and girls to education equally. This is the main problem. And then we have the problem position. These are the same those who were here, this level. Those who are in this level, they will be here. So involved groups, they will be at least 3 or 4 mean roots. And then we will have the mean causes related to the mean roots. They will be the roots. And then we will have the branches of the tree. If we have 3 roots, 3 mean roots, then we will have 3 mean branches. If we have 4 mean roots, we will have 4 mean branches. We have 3 because this is the ideal and this is the best way to present the problems tree. So here we usually discuss the effects on involved groups or factors. We discuss it what's the situation of these groups, but like the affected people, usually we discuss like the consequences on them, like how they are harmed by this problem. So what is the harms on the direct beneficiaries? So those who are here are the center of the analysis. And then here we talk about, as we mentioned, the direct beneficiaries or the affected people. But when we come to like this is the leaves of the tree, when we go to the fruits, then the fruits will be the problem impact on the society as a whole. So so we have 3 different groups. We have the affected people who are the beneficiaries. We have the target groups and factors who are like having direct effect on these people. And then we have the society in general. We will go on the next slide. We will have more clarification on that. So for example, we will make the problems tree. I usually used to call this as a backbone of the problems tree. So usually this is the problems tree, but in another like diagram that is like understandable. We can understand the problems tree like this. So for example, this is the main problem, and these are the main roots who are like groups and factors, and groups and factors affecting the problem here. And then the causes related. For example, here main cause is 1, 1. This is the cause that is related to this. This is a cause related to this. This is another cause related to this group. The same here, these are related to this group. These causes are related to this group. And then this group will become an effect. What is their effect? What is these effects and so on? Then if we have all these effects, we will end up doing damage to the affected people. And if this continues for many years, we will end up impacting and like having an impact on the society or in general. Usually when we have this diagram, if you have a question, when should we do the problem analysis? Usually before we do the need assessment, we should start doing the problem analysis. It's like drawing. It's like we are trying to have our diagram for the whole problem. That's why I would also recommend every time that do it before doing the need assessment. Once ever you are developing a proposal, you start to do the problem analysis and start draw this paragraph. I mean, draw this diagram, do it, because this will help you a lot to make sure that whatever you are doing, like whatever analysis you are coming up with is interconnected to each other, and that you are going on a logic way. So for example, anything in the root is related to the causes, and anything on the branches, leaves, and fruits is related to the consequences of the main problem. So when we start to develop our needs assessment, we will have many questions. We will need questions for everything included in this diagram. But in general, we start to have this diagram prepared like this. So for example, if we have the problem that lack of enrollment of boys and girls of 6 to 18 years in primary and secondary schools in districts for X, for example, any district, during the academic or the school year of 2020-2021. So this is a main problem in this district. And then we need to do the analysis. We will start putting that we are sure that as long as it's school, that family and society have direct effect on the girls and boys at this age. So family and society have a direct effect. Also, the school and its learning environment has like direct effect. Education staff in general, teachers, women and men teachers, also school masters, school admin have like also direct effect. So they are the position of the problem, and they are our target groups. So these are our beneficiaries, and these are our target groups. And then if you notice here that the causes, like we have 4 causes here, all related to the family and society. So for example, a lack of awareness of the importance of education for future of the children. Family and inability to providing school supplies. Society not interested in like on the dropout of kids from school. And also the lack of effective people advocates. For example, sometimes or usually in many communities, there are no advocates for education. So many children will not go to school at this age, and no one cares, no one advocates, no one try to push their families to understand that it is their right to go to school. Also, if they never care that the school is working, or if it's closed, if it's operational or not. So if you notice here, all are related to family and society, and also they are all related to education. So for example, here, family inability to provide school supplies. It's better here not to say poor families, or the families are poor, or they don't have money. Okay, because usually the families that don't have money is not a reason that their children don't go to school. Even if they are poor, their children should go to school. If they are aware of the importance of education for the future of their children, they will do a lot. They will try to find a way to make their children go to school, even if they are very poor. And we like when we do the analysis here, we don't care about the food. We don't care about, like, let's say, health or anything, or wash. We will not talk about the other sectors. We will link anything in the causes to education. So here we don't see they are poor or they don't have money. We will see that they are unable to provide school supplies. That's our problem here. Not our like their poverty is not our problem in terms of education. It's our problem is that they don't care, and they don't try to find a way to provide the school supplies. That's one thing, and the same for this. For example, this is the school and its learning environment. It could be a lack of enough classrooms. It could be old buildings and facilities, and sometimes water and sanitation is not available. Also, the lack of school seats, seats and desks. Also, the lack of school supplies like entertainment, because usually that the schools needs to be child friendly and needs to contain entertainment. Okay. Here the school staff, the educational staff, the teachers, they might lack the specialized, like for example, the scientific subjects, for example, mathematics, physics, chemistry, biology, languages. Sometimes they don't have like specialized staff. So this is a problem related to the teachers and the staff. Sometimes the teaching methods is not encouraging for children, because it's old or not interactive or not modern. Sometimes teachers use violence in schools so that they control the children. they try to use violent methods. So they have like a stick and try to beat children and so on. And sometimes there are the teachers lack some supplies, like or some kits and some tools. So there are no tools that helps the teacher to use interactive learning method. Sometimes teachers didn't receive their salaries. Sometimes it's a lot of problems related to teachers, but we usually try to list whatever related to teachers that we expect that could be the reason. And then we find out that the educational staff, this is their direct effect. So for example, we have 100 teachers on that district that can't cover the materials, and they need to be qualified and trained. They need supplies, they need motivation, and they need training, and also learning kits. So the idea is that they can't cover the materials and they need to be qualified. This is the effect on the target group. While the schools, we say that, for example, there are 14 schools lack necessary supplies and don't provide an incentives or for children to continue their education. So this is the situation. While the family and society, for example, we might find 3,000 parents like a mother and father that are not interested in educating their children and can't afford to keep them in school. So as you notice here at this level, from the consequences, this is effects. These are the effects are related to these target groups. But then when we talk about like if the teachers at this situation with the schools and parents, then we will have harms on the target, or we will have harms on the affected people who are in our case, they are the boys and girls at school age. So these like for example, we might find out that there are 3,000 boys and girls. Usually girls are even more than boys. Usually at school age in this district did not attend school, or they drop out of school during this school year. If this problem continues for many years, we will end up having men and women in the society that are illiterate, they can't read, and they can't get any opportunities, and they cannot engage in the development process. They cannot be doctors, they cannot be teachers, they cannot be a service provider like in the future. So we will have an impact on the community as a whole. That's the way we do the analysis. We usually use the education example because it's usually the most clear example, and it helps a lot to clarify the problems analysis using the problems tree. We will need also to do this because if you do this, this will help you a lot when we start to develop the logical framework. I will maybe stress many times for this. If you can't understand this, you will not be able to develop the logical framework of the proposal. And this is really important. So you need to work hard here to have your analysis and to have your diagram like this exactly, because this will make the logical framework very easy to understand and very easy to develop. Also, I want to highlight some issues. You might have a question: how did I know that there are 3,000 parents here? How did I know that there are 14 schools? How did I know that there are 100 teachers? So I would say that usually when we start to do the problem analysis, we usually put figures that we might expect, and then when we do once we finalize this analysis, we start to collect information. So we might collect the information by contacting people by phone. We might have a visit, we might have a questionnaire, and then we go to have questions for teachers, questions for parents, questions for boys and girls, and then we have questions for the school management, for the maybe the education authority and local authority. We ask many questions related to these problems. If you notice here that we mentioned that we will have many questions, we will have many questions for all the levels, for all the causes, for the problem, for the effects, for everything. So we can come back with the right figures. So we might find out that the district X has only 80 or let's say 120 teachers, like 70 women and 50 men. Then we will make it like this. We will have 120 teachers, and then we open in brackets, like we say 70 women and 50 men teachers in District X can't cover. So we make it very smart after we get the accurate information from the field. So that's the level we start collecting information about the problem. Usually collecting the information has two methods. So usually we have a primary sources, and then we might depend on secondary sources. The primary sources is usually done by your NGO. If your NGO is going to go to the field, have a questionnaire and collect the data and produce a report, then this is a primary source. And if we call it need assessment as a methodology. If we depend on secondary sources, this means that others collected the info. See here that we see collected. It means that we will depend on sources that have already been collected by others. So we will get these sources. We can find them online. We can contact other those people who have these sources to send us drafts or copies. And also we like the method it's called disk research. We could call it disk assessment. So it's like this method. Usually we do a disk research. We go to all the reports and the documents, the assessments done by others, and the others might be government entities, might be international local NGOs, might be like research firms, it could be universities, could be like think tank, whoever like done a research and collected information about our target areas and beneficiaries and target groups, then it could be a great source that we will use during our needs assessment drafting. Collecting information about the problem, usually what to ask, and it's like the questionnaire. So usually we go back to this, and then we start to have, like we ask what is the problem, like why students are not going to school, and then who is affected by the problem the most, boys or girls. So we need to have separate questions for boys and girls, and their age, and how many are they, and targeted locations, who has direct effect on the affected people. Like we ask about like the awareness of the father and the mothers. We ask about teachers' skills, and if they are specialized, if they are enough in terms of number, if they use good methodologies. So we and so on. We ask about the causes. We ask what is the situation, and what are the harms and violated rights that we find out from the field. And also, what is the impact on the community in general? We will ask about the impact. For example, we would ask how many of you have a university degree in this community. If we find out that there are very few people, then it means that there is a huge like dropout. For example, if we ask how many of them are like graduates from high school or secondary school, if there are very few girls and boys, this represents the dropout of schools, and so on. So we could explore the question like by having good questions, like the situation, and we could have like a good assessment. Who and how to ask. So who are we going to ask and how? This is the methodology. So for example, we could use this methodology. We could have like focus group discussions. Usually the focus group discussions is done for 8 to 10 people. So usually we have many focus group discussions. We should have many focus group discussions in this community. We and not to depend only on one focus group discussion. So we can come up with a valid information. We have this the focus group discussion is usually done with the affected people, so and their families and community members. For example, we would talk to children themselves. We could like talk to the parents, fathers and mothers, and community members should be like men and women, active young people, young men and women. So we have focus group discussions and come up with some or with very good information. Another way is to have a key informant interviews. Usually we use two. We don't only do the focus group discussion. We usually do both focus group discussion and key informant interviews with individuals from the community leaders. If you notice here that the why they say key informant. The key informants are the individuals from community leaders, religious leaders, service providers, local authorities, government leaders. So usually these are kind of these are part of the affected or part of the target groups who have direct effect on our beneficiaries, and we consider them key informants. And then we do the analysis and come up with the assessment or the needs assessment report. We come like at the end, once we have the assessment report, we start to draft and formulate the needs assessment paragraph. As I mentioned, the needs assessment paragraph, it needs to be about one pager, like one A4 page. But this is a lot. I would recommend that it would be about half of A4 page. It would be more than enough to have a paragraph detailing the problem, the size of the problem, the geographical scope. And we should say that our NGO this conducted, for example, we say Portal 365 has conducted a needs assessment in X district, and we found out that there are more than 3,000 boys and girls at school age that they don't go to school. We used key informants interviews and focus group discussions, and then we collected the data that found out that only 40% of fathers and mothers believe that education is important, and so on. So we talk about the indirect reasons, the effects of the problem, the damages suffered by the beneficiaries, and the impact on the community in general, and we draft the information and getting the data from our paragraph, and I mean from our needs assessment. As I mentioned, this is at least this at this level, this is considered at least from 20 to 30% degrees. So for example, the donor, when they evaluate the proposal, at least they have an evaluation mark from 100. At least this is 20 to 30 out of 100. So this is very important paragraph. This is very important part of the proposal, and you need to do it systematically. It's great if you start doing like selecting the targeted areas, identify the problem, so as we mentioned here, if you started by selecting the area, identify the main problem, analyze the problem by the problem tree, then you had the diagram, then they collected the information, and then formulating the problem. That's all related, the information related to the needs assessment. Of course, I will be available on LinkedIn. Please contact me. Please talk to me. I will try to devote a time for each one of you. If you want to talk, just tell me that you have time to talk about the needs assessment, or you want to talk about the situation analysis, and so on. This paragraph is like a small paragraph is usually requested grant request justification. This is the last thing we will talk about today. So usually the grant request justification, usually we need to show the donor that we need to detail that this is an extension of a previous project. So the intervention must be continue. This is one thing we need to do it. Sometimes we see, yes, we have a previous interventions, and we suggest that it's really necessary to complete the interventions that we have done before. And then sometimes we could say that this is an emergency and we must respond to the by this project. We must respond to the need. Sometimes we need to talk about why the project was designed this way. Sometimes in the justification, sometimes we need to tell the donor that we designed the project this way because this type of activity is much effective and it will help to reach the right affected people and the target groups in a good way, and this will improve the efficiency and effectiveness of our intervention. So it's like a kind of paragraph. Also, it could be less than a half page. It's less than a half A4 page. This week assignment, before we go to the questions and highlights, I would also again recommend that you activate your account on Portal 365 Batch 1 training, and also start working on your proposal, the name, situation analysis, problem analysis, and needs assessment. And that's it for today. Thank you so much. I'm sure some of you would have some questions related to the difference between situation analysis and needs assessment. And as I already highlighted that the situation analysis is usually easy. We could have sources done by others. We do the analysis like very quickly, copy paste and do paraphrasing and make sure that we mention the sources where we collected the data from. But the needs assessment is usually focused on the targeted area and the targeted beneficiary and the targeted groups, while the situation analysis is talking about the whole country. That's the only highlights I wanted to highlight before we end up today's session. So I already have some questions here. Yes, if we have two different currencies in the same project, so I would say that it's very rare that we have two different currencies. So we would recommend that you have only one currency at this level. This is Abdullah Basha was asking. Okay. Okay, so Abdullah Basha is mentioning that he's managing a project with two currencies. Okay, I think what you need, like when you use Portal, is that you have the most approximate like money, like exchange rate, and have one currency. That's how we recommend. Okay. Fatma, okay, has a question. I have already an account in Portal. Can I create a new one? Yes, this is usually just to confirm this account that we created is mainly dedicated for the training. So this is very different from your personal account if you have a personal account in Portal, and also very different from your NGO account. So this is account that we will find each other in the same account. This will help us to write the proposal and to comment and to send you feedback on daily basis. Yes. Um, okay, so now, okay, if I have no information resources, can I create some? If Nada is asking, yes, that's why we mentioned that the sources are usually primary or secondary. So if you are going to collect information and collect them from the field as a needs assessment, so if you collect it yourself or your NGO, then this is a kind of a reliable source like that is related to you, but it is considered as a primary. So it's usually the best type of sources is the primary sources. And I think we will need to go back to the account of portal. So now our team just confirmed that all of you have the authority to add your proposal. So if any one of you is now online, you can add your proposal directly from here and continue. And let us know if you don't if you couldn't, please let us know. We will be here. Here we have a notification. Okay, added source support. Okay. Yes. So I will be happy to see your proposals in like listed here, and let's start by today developing our proposals. I know many of you are having a holiday by next week. It's okay. When you have time, you could go and try to just create your proposal, like add a proposal, add the title, and start like working on the situation analysis. Try to draft as much as possible, so you could like within 5 weeks you will have a draft of a proposal. This will be very encouraging for you. You will be very motivated to continue training and learning if you could come up with a sample proposal developed by yourself. And as you find out that at the end of the project, you will download the draft. Like at the end of the training, you can download the draft of your proposal here, and you will be able to read it and work or like modify or do whatever you want. So yes, if you have other questions related to the account, do you still have some questions before we could move on? And I think I took more time today because it was like 2 sessions. I'm sorry to take a lot of your time, but hopefully it added something to your knowledge. Okay, now like 1 minute for questions, or we will end the session, and we will be. I mean, all of you will be released and happy that you will have your holiday like within minutes. So at the end, I will just encourage you. Please talk to me on LinkedIn anytime. Talk to us. Try to interact on LinkedIn and also interact here on Portal 365 during writing the proposal. Thank you so much. Eid Mubarak for all of you. For those of you who will celebrate it. Let's hope that you will learn and keep learning with us. Hopefully you will continue to attend while you are feeling that you are really getting new information. Thank you so much. All the best. Bye. Happy Eid to all of you.